Well, if I was one of the 7 dwarfs, I think the last 4 weeks my name would be Sleepy.
How are you?
The doctors, they like what's going on with my sinuses now finally from this spray, and they're all kind of saying that this sleepiness is sort of normal for someone who's had such sleep deprivation for extended time. But I'm still wondering, I just can't stay awake.
Wow.
So, I don't know. I'm sort of hoping...
You've been through a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this CPAP, it forces air into your body. It also has an oxygen hose. So my best guess is the brain is getting used to more oxygen and is probably kind of doing what happens when some people diet, where they actually end up getting fat because the body thinks it's going to starve or something. So
Exactly. Wow.
But when I was seen last Friday by the ENT, he said he didn't see me needing surgeries, that basically the swelling inside my nose and sinuses and eustachian tubes is allergy related, and he said even though I hadn't needed allergy shots since I was a kid, he says our immune systems can change and that I may, that's probably what I'm going to need to do again.
Yeah. Not just that. It's not just the immune system, but all around you, it's planetary. So...
And I am certain that we are getting some fallout from Fukushima and this geoengineering, with all of this aluminum oxide and barium and whatever.
It's really doing a number to us. There was this woman around my way from Ireland, and I would often see her with these, 2 little kids, very, very like Venice Beach-ish, she just has this really awesome hippie type vibe,
Mm-hmm.
And like a naturalist, and just an all-around, really good person. So I haven't seen her. She would pass my house with her kids, and I haven't seen her in ages. I think the last time I saw them was Halloween. They came to trick-or-treat at my house, right? So I see her, and she looks awful. And she said, she's really from Ireland, so she's used to that cold, damp weather, right? And she said this is the first time in her life that she ever has experienced sinus problems, and she had 3 infections, 1 back-to-back, and they couldn't get rid of anything.
Well, I know that so much is the sun, with all this CMEs and whatever, and I can tell it's stretching our upper chakras, making our chakras bigger, and not just major chakras, but of course all the minor chakras too, dozens of them in the head there. So, our fields are forced to be stronger whether we want it or not, and we're being forced to deal with our issues whether we want it or not.
Exactly. But my point is that even people who have never had issues are having multiple issues.
Well, if they just stop with the geoengineering, and maybe they might, when the flares mellow out, by the summer. So.
Yeah. But I do see clearing up for you. It's, my God, you've been through it all. But I think it's a good idea to proceed with the allergy shot.
Yeah, well, I'm going to talk with my doctor at Venice Clinic about it. She's been really good. She's been a real advocate for me. So, so far so good. They have to make do with very limited resources, but that's kind of it. And I sent you a couple times just so that you could see the most recent ones, pics of my dear one there, and I see that suddenly she's filled in a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, so that made me feel good. But she's not come back to Facebook.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of people are dwindling off of it. I don't know if you noticed it.
I've seen my friend numbers go down, and I didn't know why.
Yeah, it goes up and down, and I think a lot of people are just leaving Facebook. I don't know if you noticed it, but like, for instance, it's becoming like a place of like people just aren't the same up there anymore. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. I've had good experiences with it, and it's kind of my social thing at this point. Unless or until I'm ever allowed back into the pranic healing fold with respect to Co.
Yeah, but it's changing though. It's changing, Stephen. It's totally changing. It's not the same. It's not how it used to be.
Well, they keep doing stupid stuff to it, and I think people are getting frustrated.
Yeah, there's
we're feeling like we're nothing but a pool of prey to be marketed to, and it's hard to get to see what your friends post. You have to remember the friend's name and then go look for them because it's just not showing much.
Exactly.
And I'm hoping that Jen would come back. You seem to indicate that you thought she would.
I think she's going to. I think it's a spell where, even myself, like, I get turned off from it.
Well, you'd leave Facebook for a few months at a time sometimes, from what I recall.
Yeah, and you get turned off. Like, you pop in, you say hello, and it's either like a total bitch fest or, people are just complaining about things that really don't make sense anymore.
No, I've gotten good business from it, so mine's done pretty good. But, I'm also doing 8 to 12 posts a day, so I'm making sure to have, I'm putting content. I'm getting myself known not just for the energy stuff, but for humor and for pretty pictures and.
Yeah, but you see, that's like the awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I hate it every time I go up there. And I see things like, and I know it's real, and I know it's out there, and I know it's something we all need to fight and be concerned about, but I hate seeing those horrible pictures of animal abuse.
Well, I just scroll past them when I do see them, and most of my friends don't post it because they know that we just don't want to see it. We don't all have the money to save every animal we see.
Exactly, and it makes you feel awful. And I'm a complete advocate for animals, and they put it right up on my page. So it's like,
I like that was kind of neat, the little hummingbird experience thing there.
Oh, let me tell you what it means. Not only does it mean that it's a complete spiritual, like, revelation, but it means that your time is coming. Everything is falling into place. And I remember the last time it was, I only had 2 experiences in my life with hummingbirds.
This was a bird inside the house. I mean, the back door was open, and somehow it flew into the kitchen.
Wow.
And I mean, I've only seen 2 birds inside a house in 30 years. It very rarely happens. I mean, every once in a while. I don't know. Yeah. In fact, I think this is the second time. One time I remember one other one, but that one was sick and dying. This one was actually in good health. It seemed pretty vigorous. I was a little surprised that it couldn't, figure out, hey, there's a window, let me fly around till I find, how I came in. Because you don't see them flying into windows outside the house.
Right.
But it was neat. And at first it was afraid of my hand, as I expected it would be, but it wouldn't get on any stick or fly swatter or any other extension. And, it didn't seem like it was going to hurt me or peck me or anything. stayed a couple times on my finger, not for too long, and then one time it just finally sat there. Once I guess it figured out I was endeavoring to help it, and it let me slowly walk it out.
I had a very unusual experience with hummingbird where it was many years ago in Louisiana, and I was outside of the kitchen. There's a large balcony, and I went out on it, and I was just standing there looking across at the trolley, and it was St. Charles car, and I'm just standing there taking it in. It was very, very early in the morning, having a cup of coffee, and all of a sudden, this hummingbird just stood right in front of me, stopped flapping its wings, and stood high up in front of me. And I was so floored by it. I was so taken back. And it gave me this vision of, Stephen, if everything could have just crumbled right then and there, the house and all, it would have been okay. And I'm not saying that in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying it in a positive way. It was like everything came into sync for the first time. I have never felt so happy, and I have never felt that again.
Well, I sure could use some things synchronizing. Money has been incredibly tight, and the frustrating part, like I said, is, Chris has been ill much of the last 4 weeks, and myself, it's just been this desire for the body to just sleep. And I mean, it's just really been hard to write things, to get stuff done. And, we have someone supposed to help us with...
Let me tell you, March is all around you. March is... February is a short month. From the last week of February, the last 2-3 days, heading on into March, it is going to be the most unbelievable experiences for you. You're going to have a lot of life changes, and I'm not talking negatively. It's like that hummingbird. It comes to you only once in a while, and when it does, it carries a message. So you're very, very fortunate to have had that experience, because usually when a hummingbird comes to you that way, it's trying to tell you what's coming. And they only bring peace, freedom, and happiness. Freedom from what's holding you back. Not too many people have that experience.
Well, I was pretty surprised that of all the different eggs I was using, I've used eggs before for cleansing, I've seen it, but I've never seen them programmed as a diversion, as a decoy to take the hit. And I was really surprised. The one that would break the most often was always my decoy eggs.
Wow.
Jen's didn't break too much, but mine did. And, I don't know. She's still logging on to Facebook to see my page, though, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
So that's consistent.
She is. And actually, I know she's seen you.
How?
I know she was in a car. I want to say you were going into, like a convenience store.
I haven't been inside a convenience store. The only stores I've gone to have been grocery store, and not too many.
That's what I mean by that.
Okay.
Like, we call them convenience stores.
Okay.
In California, it's just, everything is...
Well, if she was not in her own personal car.
No, she wasn't. She wasn't. She was with a woman. The name starts with a D.
That'd be Debbie.
She was facing away out the window, and the expression on her face was, yes, we used to be good friends. A lot of changes had come about, and I don't see her in the same light. You know, like she tossed her head to the side, and it's like I'm not seeing her in the same light. She learned a lot. She learned a lot, Stephen. She learned. You know, I think slow learners are the best ones. It takes them longer. It's
deeper. It's deeper. Well, I was, you know, you said you still saw us married, so I figured, okay, you know.
Yeah. There's only very few solid connections with people. Very few. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they're not easily replaced. They aren't.
Yeah.
And, you know, too many people are very quick to replace things, anything. And you're not that type of person. She's not that type of person. And I think she needed to, and I don't often use this expression, finding yourself, but there is a such thing as that, and we all know that.
Well, I knew with that old war hero guy, you know, I knew if it was real, then her mom would be friends with him and her other relatives would be, and the only ones that were friends with him was just her and her sister and her sister's husband. So that told me there was a, you know, a game kind of thing going on or whatever. But I've had some fears lately that it felt almost as if Coe wanted her for his wife, even though he's married and has kids.
Now, I thought about that probably about a good year ago, and I had that sneaky feeling about him, but it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But he's doing something, isn't he, to make it where when she's getting my energy, he's trying to get her to think of him or think it's coming from him or something, though.
He's trying to divert it. It's sort of like, you know, like somebody putting like a sign in the road to make you turn the wrong way. And as you're going down the road, you're like, wait a second. Put the brakes on. This doesn't feel right. This isn't right. This isn't where I should be. And, you know, we often, like, it takes us time, but then we realize, like, you know what? I know where this is coming from, and I know who it's coming from. She spent a lot of time being spiritually connected, and she absolutely knows that this here was coming from him. And she wants no part of it. She thinks it's disgusting. She doesn't have those false values that he, you know, trails along.
Yeah, because he's gotten, you know, not only was he caught fooling around with female students by Mastrochello when Mastrochello was alive, but apparently he's gotten caught a few times recently, and he always denigrates them and trashes their reputation. And then the women are the ones that get banned, you know, even though he obviously had to pursue them in some way, shape, or form, you know, to cause something to happen. And I'm wondering to what extent that Jen may even be aware of that.
Well, it had to do with a lot of your work. You know, when you're opening up doors for other people, when you're, you know, looking around and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm feeling this, and this is coming through. And I'm seeing these other people having these odd experiences. And she looks around and she's like, okay, you know what? A year ago or so, she fought for him. Like, no, how could that be? He wouldn't do something like that. That's not in him to do that. No, No. And why is Stephen pushing this into my head? Like, to open my eyes. Open my eyes for what? Wow. What an eye-opener.
So you think she's starting to see it?
What in Stephen is she starting to see it?
Is she seeing all of his constant point to his crotch? I mean, his last video, I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there watching, and I'm going, I was like, he's touched his crotch more often per minute than Michael Jackson did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Talk about subliminal messages.
Yeah, and he's just, like, out there with it. But, you know, it hurt me when Alejandro unfriended and blocked, and then Anthony Cadera unfriended and blocked, and then his wife, Valerie Anderson, she didn't block, but she unfriended. And it's just like, you know, I'm concerned who's saying what, because, you know, I have the hopes of eventually being let back in, because I'm friends with the other leaders in pranic healing around the world. It's just me and Co. You know, but it hurt, you know, and I was looking at that picture of Jen with the other people at the table, and I realized that most of those people at the table have either declined my Facebook friendship or were friends and unfriended. So it made me wonder, is Jen saying stuff? Is Co saying stuff?
What's not her. It's not her. It's not her at all. I think it's Cole doing it, more than sure. He's doing it to other people. It's not her.
Okay.
It's not her. And she takes, you know what, she's taken a lot of heat throughout the time, you know, for him, and not even knowing it. And it's time she sees things for what they are.
What was her reaction to, first of all, the ways to improve that I sent on Vimeo? You know, when she asked, you know, if anybody has any good ideas or whatever, you know, inbox me. And I did a lot. Did she even look at the email?
Yes, she did. She did. She knows. She's like, you know, you see like that smirk, and it's like, oh, Stephen, you know, and she plays this, you know, she plays a little hard to get, and it's okay. It's okay, because, you know, she's a good girl, and, you know, good girls tend to do that, and, you know, at least we got a very positive, you know, signs from it. And I'm happy with what we have from her. I'm happy. I have to say, for the first time, she's thinking with her own mind.
Okay.
She's thinking with her own mind, and she's like, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like the way it feels. It doesn't feel right. There's something very sinister about this, very unnatural about it. And it's good.
Did she see my message from LinkedIn when I mentioned that on Facebook one of the girls that works at Fox LA told one of the girls that was a reporter that got laid off for KCAL come over to Bundy, you know, to Fox LA. Did she see the message? And
yes, she did.
What did she,
Her response to that was like, like she checked things out. You know, she's a checker.
Mm-hmm.
She checked things out, and she was like, yeah, I can see this, you know. I need to, I think she's trying to observe you more. And that's not a negative thing, you know. That's like, it's scary sometimes, because we're like, okay, what do you, you know, like, what are you exactly observing, and did I pass your, you know, your test here? But I have to say, this is probably one of the first times she's like eyes wide open.
Mm-hmm. Well, how often is she checking my Facebook thing, since I am pretty active?
Probably twice a day.
Okay, so she's
less than twice a day.
All right, so she's still in step then.
At times, it's like obsessive compulsive?
Well, let's hope it's in a basically healthy way. I mean, I'm figuring that.
Oh, you know, with her it is. With her it is. If it was someone else, I'd be like,
Well, I'm assuming that I'm probably got 2 years of just deprogramming and helping her with issues that have never really been addressed. I have a feeling that may be how it goes.
Well, you know why? Because, like, you buckled down and you went after your own.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, now it's like, okay, I did this. I you know, flushed out my system physically and spiritually. Now, you know, here I am doing for her.
Well, how do you see her coming into my life? I mean, what will be her reason, excuse, movement, you know, whatever? How does this, what do you see playing out?
Needing help with Cole. You know, his negative actions, just needing help with him.
Because it was interesting, the last reading was the only time I've ever gotten a reading from you where nearly everything did not happen as opposed to predominances of stuff doing. And I thought about that. I'm like, you know, this guy is really making an effort. Because you weren't the only one that saw, you know, the same stuff or felt the same stuff, but it's like...
A long time ago, I remember a long time ago, Stephen, I said, we got to fight this bastard fire with fire.
You know, I did the pepper thing. It's in my freezer. I mean, you know.
And then the first time you were like, you were very zen about it. You were like, I just, you know, I don't want to, like, I want to be more peaceful. I don't want to rattle anything. But it's not about being peaceful.
Well, I think his own overconfidence and big-headedness is going to, you know, I think he'll take himself out.
Yeah, that's what usually happens. But it's also very good when you see the result and you're like, wow, yeah.
So how do I bring Jen back in? I mean, it seemed like what was happening most often was during altered state stuff, I'd find myself in her body and so forth. But I didn't feel like forcing her to do anything. I more like would either show her things or tell her, and it seemed to work good by whatever thought I wanted to think, by using her voice to think it. You know, the idea being, you know, more likely for her to perceive it as her own. And, you know, sometimes it'd be in the mirror and sometimes it would just be sitting there quiet.
Yeah.
But it just sort of like, you know, sort of found myself there. And that would happen when I would do the audios.
That's very impressive.
Well, that's what you've told me before, that might be how I get her, is by how I'm doing the energy stuff with the audios. And the last time you described it as kind of like an astral travel kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I don't know.
But that's how you tend to work.
Okay.
And it's like one of your best qualities, right up there with some other ones, but that is definitely one of your best ones. And, you know, to master something like that is very difficult, time-consuming. To see the results is pretty out there, and you've done it. Like, you've done it. You did this. You have mastered it.
It doesn't, you know, I mean, it feels like she lets me in just fine, you know, but the problem is the call to action, have her doing something on the physical plane. I mean, that's where...
Well, that's, you know, that's a little bit different with her, because she tends to, you know, she had a lot of emotional problems.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you have to take that into consideration and weed that out, that's a big thing.
It's almost like she's as afraid to see me as I am afraid to see her in terms of physical plane. It's like we're both afraid of each other.
Like, you know, it's that anticipation, and it's like the first time that something positive comes from it. You know, you're like super thrilled, and you're like, oh my God, this is really happening. This took place for me. This is, you know, this is great. This is exactly what I needed.
But as soon as something started to happen, just somehow, some way, just seemed to like always know.
Yeah, because you know why? He's doing all that he thinks he can do.
Well, he reminds me of the Wicked Rich in you know, the Wizard of Oz. You know, watching the people who are there inside the little, you know, glass globe there. Just
watching, keeping that eye out. You know, the conniver, the waiting, the whole thing. He's a real piece of work.
Well, two questions I have, assuming that I do get with her. First question is, do I, and if so, how soon, do I ever let her know that, I mean, for me it was basically love at first sight when we first locked eyes?
Yes.
Because that's how it was for me. I don't know how it felt for her, but, you know.
It was the same way. She just didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
It's very frightening for some people.
Yeah.
Because it's like, just like I told you about that hummingbird, my experience,
it's
like, holy shit, if everything was just now crumbled, it would be perfect.
Yeah. And the other question is, the times I felt most hurt by anybody in life was that one time when she gave away her birthday present of some chocolate I'd given her, and she left the card on the seat, you know, years back. That one time when it was really weird, even though other people said she was beaming energy the whole time. Do I ever let her know how much she hurt me with any of her actions, or do I just be quiet and forget?
I'm going to tell you what that's about. When people do stuff like that, they subconsciously spread energy. And it's like keeping something for yourself. Only you then get to know the pleasure of it. Only you then get to know the enjoyment. And when you share something like that, it's completely different.
Yeah, I don't know, when I'm imagining her showing up on my doorstep, you know, in other words, a knock at the door and she's there, it's hard for me to tell how much is mine and how much is hers of that, or if there's any co-creation at all.
I think you have equal parts of both of you. I think that your anxiety leaves you out, leaves her out. And, you know, therefore you're like, well, this must be all me. This has to be all me.
So I need to just keep on imagining it, and then just imagine us a walk, and then imagine us at her place.
Absolutely. Because, you know, this method has been practiced for ages.
Yeah.
Ages and ages. There's not a lot of people that have the endurance. They're not sure, like, how exactly should I go about this, you know, when...
Well, I've definitely shown her endurance.
Yes.
You know, I mean, if anybody has demonstrated loyalty to her, I think it would be me, so...
Yeah, and she knows that.
Okay.
And in the meantime, you needed to, you know, come forth with, like, taking care of Stephen and what you have. Because you can't, like, you can't help her and take care of her if, you know, you're hurting and, you know, your needs.
Well, we're still there financially.
Yeah.
and electronically, although I have a guy volunteering to help with the website. He's done a lot of them, but he's also going through a divorce. His name is David Ketcherside. He's back east towards your way. And, he's known for keeping his word, but, we sure do need it yesterday.
Yeah. I think that's going to take a little, just probably another week to 9 days.
Okay.
And I know it's like some of these things, they just feel like eternity. It's like, oh my God, when?
Well, the last 4 weeks I've gotten almost nothing done. I mean, mostly what I have to show for my time is I slept.
Yeah, but you needed that.
Yeah.
You needed that. It's like we can't neglect the things that we need. It's just, it's not feasible. It just isn't feasible to be like that. We need to take that time and be like, okay, this isn't a bad thing. This is a Stephen thing. This is a good thing.
How much of this energy is shared with Jen? Is she experiencing any of this sleepiness or any of the other stuff I'm experiencing?
A lot. It's contagious. It's like you do something and she's like completely, it's like, okay, we're sharing these experiences, and it's completely contagious.
Okay, because I'm feeling like our energy is still strongly linked, So, I mean, from what Una was telling me, she said whenever I do something, there's like a corresponding something on Jen's side. But the last 4 weeks or 6 weeks, Una's not really been able to read easily. And lately, she said she's just tired of looking at she didn't want to hear about it for a while. But she sure wants to hear about her Florida guy, so, I figure, okay, I'll just tell her what I get when I get it. And from what she tells me, I often get what these people even will say to her. But, I got worried when she started to say, well, I'm not so sure. So I didn't know how much of that's change in energy between me and Jen and how much of it is just, Una's going through her stuff.
Yeah, no. Really, nothing has changed. When you're just going through it, it's the hardest part, and you need to go through it. It's all about going through it.
Yeah, so it's the spiritual growth and the learnings I'm getting in the process.
Yeah. And unfortunately, teachers of spirituality go through the worst and the longest growth.
Well, we're the ones that blaze the trail, so we're getting the cuts on our legs from the brush.
Exactly.
The others have a nice trail to walk on.
Put it any better than that?
Well, it's kind of like what it's like. I mean, when you go through the wilderness and there's not a trail, you do get cut up a bit, So, I mean, but you would still bet on this happening, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I hope I can make it happen in time for kids and time for my dad to see grandkids while he's still in his body.
I know.
He's 78, and his memory's starting to go.
You couldn't push it any harder or any faster because you couldn't. You had to take care of the sinuses.
Yeah.
You had to tackle some other things in your life. You had to.
Does my body pass the bulk of this crazy stuff?
And what a ride that was. That was like haywire.
I was expecting more surgery, and I was fine with it. I'd rather just hurry up and, get it done and be done. Just be done with it. The allergy shots when I was a kid, I remember them doing 50 or 60 shots in an arm to see what you were allergic to.
Yeah.
And then I remember 8 shots a week for months of whatever it was, that swelled up the most. And from what I understand from the ENT surgeon, it's still kind of that way.
It is. It's like a scratch test now. Like they sort of like just push the arm up and down with.
Before it was, you would see them injecting the stuff in, and it would make a small blister for each one, and then they'd see if the blister got larger or not.
And they would. It's basically the same, and then they would like level it like 1 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 would be, the highest, meaning that you would need to get, the shot.
Well, do you think I'm going to be needing that, and is it anything that they can treat? In other words, one of the things I'm worried about is what if the problem, relates to either fallout from Fukushima or, the geoengineering stuff. I mean, on the geoengineering stuff, I can only hope that they'll stop it once the solar flares mellow out.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think it's going to be something that is going to be horribly long, where it's like a forever type of thing. A good 3 to 6 months, not even 6 months being the most.
Well, hopefully since we're in the winter time, maybe they'll do less of it, but I don't know. I've seen jets fly for decades, and they didn't leave trails like that before. So, they can. Governments can pretend we're stupid, but there's.
Oh yeah, it's been our worst nightmare.
Yeah. So, what do you see happening with respect to the stuff playing out with Jen? I mean, how much time do I have? Do I still need to make sure that I'm looking as nice as I can, or et cetera, et cetera?
Definitely. Look, keep up the grooming. I want you to, know that, and very importantly, Stephen, that she does buzz around a bit. She's...
well, she's 45 to 60 minutes away, driving time, so, I mean,
let me tell you something. There's times I'm 2 hours away, and, I wind up in the same place as somebody because I have to be there or I'm passing through. Or maybe that day I'm going to make it my business to do so. We always have something on our mind. This summer is important. You're going to reconnect, and it has a lot to do around when the seasons change and when it changes in full bloom.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't want to be over optimistic and say late spring. I like the summer. I like right after June. The ending of June is all.
Well, I'm shooting for Memorial Day, because that's when I like to do my thing up in the mountains. But, like I said, my energy has been next to none, and, the property's a mess. The house, still smells like David's dogs, etc. And, she ain't going to like that. But my guess would be as long as she understands, hey, he's going through his health stuff.
I understand that. There's nothing you can do. There's only so much we can do.
Well, when she learns that he's been a friend since '85, and it is chemo and God knows what else happening, so
it's more than understandable.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too big of a deal for me to stay the night at her place.
I don't think it's going to be a big deal at all.
Yeah. I have a feeling I might be staying half at hers and half at mine.
Yeah, exactly. But, I really don't think that's going to be a big deal. People are very understanding of certain things and heartaches in people's lives, especially when you have empathy. And, this is a woman with empathy.
Well, what about the fact that every time there was a problem with her and I, whatever was going on in my house just sort of sat there? I mean, mess whenever there was a trauma, if you will. Will she be understanding of that? I mean, is she going to realize that every time we almost got something happen, it really hurt me?
Yeah. Yeah, she is. She grew up a lot also. She definitely grew up a lot. This isn't something that, this girl is proud of. She's not proud of being, like, as she would call it, like, shallow. I'm not a shallow person. I grew up.
Well, it's kind of like Arrested Development. I mean, you wouldn't think that she was a woman of 50. You'd think she was a woman of late 20s, early 30s sometimes, in terms of her behavior. And, Debbie said that Jen's one of the most antisocial that she knows. So, I don't know, maybe that was what was needed to humble her out a bit.
I mean, we need certain things to make us human again.
Yeah, the pretty girl syndrome there.
And you were one of the elements that, that did so.
I figure as long as you tell me there's a good shot, then fine, but
there's not just a good shot, but it's the shot.
Okay, well, if you ever see like it looks like it's not gonna, then please tell me so,
I would definitely
life's going by.
I want to hit on your finances because I have a call after this.
Okay.
There's an incredible standstill. Everything just like boom.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it has to do with some people on my side. Meaning, we have the whole East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
All the storms that have happened. I don't think people realize the devastation of them. The jobs have lost. Everything went down.
Mm-hmm.
All of this starts to pick up. It begins in 2.5 weeks from tomorrow.
No, I can't. I don't have the staying power for 2.5 weeks. I mean,
yes, you do.
It's tough.
You're going.
Does Dr. Mankey have access to any more funds? I mean, he's helped us with charts, graphs, info, stuff like that. But, he's really been difficult with respect to cash money.
Yeah, I think everybody sort of got scared and just squeezed a little tighter, and the reins are going to loosen up.
Okay.
And you're definitely going to see, the floodgates open. And I know 2 weeks is like, oh, my God, 2 weeks. But once it starts opening, and, you still need more time for the body to heal.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah, to throw yourself in.
Each of the doctors basically did say that. They said that it's good that my body's doing that. It's a good sign.
Yeah. And you need that. Like, you need...
Well, I read that the hyperbaric is apparently good for people with stroke and other brain things. And while this isn't hyperbaric, it is air pushed into my nose under pressure while sleeping, and oxygen coming in with the air straight. So I'm figuring that, that should be good.
Oh, it's going to be more than good.
Okay.
It's going to be more than good. So we're looking at a timeline from 2 weeks on for cash.
Okay.
I want you to keep that up. I want you to keep all of that up. We're looking at another timeline, March, for another big
movement.
Yeah, really big.
You still think me and Jen can actually have kids while my father can still see them?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. No doubt, no doubt.
How much of his loss of memory is just from staying at home all the time versus anything actually organically happening with his body?
Probably a good 60%.
Yeah, it's hard to get him to get out.
Probably a good 60%. And you know what? That's a lot.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get to spend some time with him, but I did not get to spend time with him for Christmas at all. I mean, the funds just weren't there.
Yeah.
Sun's right there. Did Jen get any spy reports on me when I saw Charlotte that weekend? The one I told you about, when I learned about the egg technique. Did anybody give her any reports or anything?
No. Like snitching you out?
Not snitching me out, but just, hey, I saw Stephen, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I know that they said that they've seen you, but it was like no snitch deal.
Yeah. But from what you can tell, though, she seems to know a good bit about me, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And definitely the Facebook
she
thing.
made it her business.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely the Facebook thing.
Yep.
As long as she doesn't accuse me of the stalking part.
She made it her business. She spies on you. And the best way to spy on someone is to defriend them. Because then it's like you sort of relinquish your guilt that way.
Okay.
And she's all about that. Like, she's like, well, I'm not an out-and-out friend, but I can just take a glance. Because she's not blocked.
Yeah. Not from my side.
Exactly.
But I don't think she's looking at anything from her profile, though. I have a feeling she's leaving her profile to what do you call it? I think she wants people to think she's gone.
Yeah. You notice that a few people do that?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, it reminded me of a funny thing, a post that I had actually seen and posted in Facebook that I thought was funny, but it was talking about the differences of how men stalk women versus how women stalk men, and the gist of it was that men will drive by a woman's house at night, but women, if they're pissed, they'll actually go to the guy's place of business or social and just break his things in front of everybody.
Yeah, well, that's the truth. That's how it's always been done. That's how it's always been done.
Yeah.
Women are a little bit different when it comes to that. And, men are like, nope, standoffish. I'm not going to do that. Like, they do things in a little bit more of a sly type of way.
Yeah. Well, the tough part about it is LinkedIn shows when someone views you. I don't know if they show if you look at their profile multiple times or if it's only one time and just said, but apparently it shows, so I'll have to be careful about that. But, it looked like she went and wrote like a kind of not a full-blown resume per se, but a pretty vigorous thing, and she's got about 140 connections, and you know how people can vouch for you for different things.
Yeah.
She has 2, 4, 6, 9 things listed, and out of those 9, people have vouched for 2 of them, and the amount of people vouching, from what I can tell, it looks to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 people tops on one and 6 for another. And so with me, I've got like 600 contacts, and I got like about 200 plus that have vouched for me for various things. So I don't yet know how to use it, but I got lots of contacts.
Yeah, but you're in a pretty good position now. I mean, after we get over that 2-week hurdle, you're in a pretty decent position. Okay.
Can you walk me through, before you got to go, a guided visualization exercise, whatever, with my dearest one there? Just so I've got a good model to follow.
In what manner?
Well, before, mostly what you had suggested was just imagine that I'm in her body looking out through her eyes at the mirror, like in her bathroom or something, and, but you never really said much about what to say or what to do or whatever, other than just, okay, go and drop inside her and, imagine that she's in front of a mirror.
What you have to do is, like, when you do something like that, you have to become the person, and it's the Illuminati effect. That's exactly, how it's done. It's not so much of what you say, is of what you project.
And I assume that the more emotion, the better.
Exactly. It's more of an emotional, type of exercise than anything.
Yeah, well, other than when I did the things with miscellaneous love songs, the tough part about it is when I do go in her body, I'm pretty neutral emotionally.
No, not you, Stephen. That's all right.
Huh?
No, I was just saying, you have to, when you get into someone's body like that, it's not so much to say as it is the movements, becoming the person. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, you basically adopt their energy.
Yes. That's the strongest form.
And usually when I've done it, I just felt like I was in her body, just sitting quietly with her hands on her lap, with her head a little bit forward. This is how it felt. And I don't know how much of that is because my physiology was that way and how much of that was hers matched it. I don't know how, I don't know how I was doing from your perspective. I only know that, I could feel her feeling miscellaneous emotions and stuff and miscellaneous thoughts, none that were particularly specific, only that it just really, really, really felt like her energy.
Yeah. You see, when you're able to capsule somebody's energy like that, you're doing something right. It's not so much the words. What you want to do is, it's a movement when you sit there. You, like you did. You tilted your head a certain way. You did this, you did that.
What is she feeling when I'm doing that? Is she just feeling oneness, or what is she feeling?
She's feeling you. She's feeling you. She's feeling the emotions that you have. She's feeling what has some past feelings, some new feelings, but it's definitely the awareness of you.
Okay.
And that's exactly what you want.
All right. Is she wanting more of it, about the same?
I would probably do more.
Okay.
Most definitely.
When I'm doing my personal growth stuff, when it's difficult, including if any of it deals with her, does she feel my negative emotions, or is that more, have I got it where she's mostly feeling just the best, or what is she feeling?
No, positive
Okay.
and soothing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to do it and program all energy in such a way where the more she likes it, the more she feels it, and if she doesn't like it, she doesn't feel it, kind of thing. I'm trying to do it that way.
That's a very powerful thing to do.
And I'm sending the energy to, that optimum moment of influence when she's most open and receptive. So I'm not sure how much is in real time and how much is delayed or whatever.
Well, you want it, it's 60-40. It's always 60-40. Always. Then there's spurts of 100%. Then it goes back and down. It fluctuates, but it never goes lower.
Has Co got some kind of an alarm bell that lets him know when I'm connecting with her or something? I mean,
No, he just keeps it up. That's why you have to keep it up.
I wish he would just focus on other things.
I know. And I have to run, Stephen.
Okay. Does he look like he may ever shift, or is that pretty much gone until he goes, or what? Do I got a shot at all at being back in pranic healing in terms of LA?
Absolutely. And he's not going to be at this for long. You know, there are other people that, you know, that are much better at it and are looking to take over.
Well, what I'm hoping is that if not power struggles, I'm just hoping that, you know, they just simply say, look, you know, Michael King is an asset. You know, he's good at...
Oh, that has already been said.
You think so? Okay.
I know so.
Well, it's good to know. I told you I am in contact with Megan again.
Oh, good.
She's having challenges with that guy, Jose, and she forwarded an email, and he's basically pointing out to her that she's not Miss Lovely when she's, you know, drinking and taking all this Vicodin and other stuff. But I figured I wouldn't really lecture her about it. I'll just let him do that and just, you know, be available for shoulder. And I have not heard hide nor hair, nothing from April.
Well, you know what? You got enough of your own work. Just leave it to
Yeah, I know. I'd like to have more friends.
You know, and there's a lot of jealousy, so just let it be.
Yeah. Yeah, well, part of me was thinking also that I got to be careful about getting too close to April because I don't want to have the energy be in the way of what I want with Jen.
So, you know, it actually works out to your benefit.
Okay. Alrighty, well, when I let you go, I guess I'll do my meditations then and see how it goes. I still haven't seen you taking any break. You know, there's been times where you said you'd like to have a little healing or something, but, you know, I want to wait until I know you're sitting down for 15 minutes.
I can use that 15 minutes.
Well, yeah, but how to get you to actually do it and be receptive.
I know.
You know, because the tough part about it is I don't want to do it when you're doing, you know, a reading or doing anything because I don't want to be a distraction. Plus, it may make you sleepy, you know, depending, and I'd have to, if you're on the phone, then I got feedback. If you're not, then I don't. And, I mean, it just kind of seems like you really don't take any time off unless your body makes you.
I know. That's about the time now.
Yeah.
Get to my other reading and have that.
Yeah, and with that last comment, I said I was remembering the he that's without sin cast the first stone, so it's a lecture I will not do on you in terms of the slowing down part. But you always know that you're, you know, I'll do something on you if ever you ask.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, but I do like to have feedback live, especially since you're kind of a human antenna.
Oh, certainly will.
Alrighty, well, I'm going to do what I can to take care of myself here. Take care of my health. All right, thanks, Jackie.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right, good night. Good night. 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 All right, good night.